Let's Sleep Together by Flapjack09, read by Distracted by Books. Chapter 2, The Morning After. When Mei Hatsume woke up, she could tell no, everything was off. With a photographic memory like hers, she would have recalled leaving the lab last night, yet she clearly wasn't there anymore. Instead, she was lying down in bed, while tightly clutching onto something. She wasn't awake enough to identify what that thing was, so she gave it a light squeeze, quickly recognizing the texture from the UA uniform she was forced to wear whenever she wasn't in the lab. She then heard a grunt that decidedly wasn't hers, and the mask she was holding onto suddenly shifted. It was then that May caught a glimpse of a green, messy head of hair, and one thought immediately came to mind. 10 million? Is that you? Huh? She was proven right when he turned his head toward her, and she got a good look at his freckled, hardly awake face. Oh, hi, Hatsume. He turned back around, wanting to get back to sleep, until his own train of thought caught up to him. Hatsume! May could hear his eyes snap open as he quite literally shot out of bed, slipping out of her grasp like a bar of soap. As he stared at her in abject horror, she could see a million thoughts passing through his head. What the? How the? Why did? What am I doing here? I don't know. What am I doing here? Asked May, notably less panicked than him. After all, they were both fully clothed, so it wasn't like anything happened between them last night. And if there was anyone May wouldn't mind waking up to, well, Izuku was far from the bottom of her list. Izuku seemed to calm down at her question, the pieces snapping together in his head to form a picture of what happened last night. Oh, right. You were out cold at your desk last night, so I took you to your room so you could get some proper sleep. But then you wouldn't let go of me. His face flushed red, the panic from earlier returning in full force. Oh, Kami, I didn't mean to sleep in your bed with you. It was an accident. I swear. I'm so sorry. Please don't. Wait, hold on. May stood up, about to scold Izuku for separating her from her babies. But before she could get a word out, she noticed something off about her body. It wasn't clear to her at first, but now that she was standing, she felt a lot lighter than before and with way more energy. It was like some kind of invisible weight had been lifted. How long was I out for? Whatever it was, it had to have been more than her usual 4-hour power naps. Let me check. Izuku pulled his phone from his pocket, then blanched at the time displayed on his lock screen. Shoot, I'm going to be late for class! May's pupils shrank at the implications, and she pulled out her own phone to confirm, shoot, I'm going to be late for class. She promptly bolted out of her room, completely forgetting about the other presents right beside her. Fortunately, Izuku did the same, except he chose to leave via the window to avoid being spotted by the rest of the dorm. Through the chaos, there was an unspoken agreement that they would discuss this issue at a later, more convenient date. Izuku had to resist turning on his quirk during his mad scramble down the hall, trusting that his own 2 feet would be able to carry him to classroom 1A before first period began, lest his perfect attendance record be broken. But that wasn't the only reason his heart was pounding in his chest. Even if he made it to class on time, he knew what awaited him inside. The last time he broke curfew, he ended up with 3 days of house arrest and a series of scoldings from Ida. He shuddered to imagine what the punishment would be this time. He wouldn't have to imagine much longer, as the moment he slid to the classroom door, Ida was already waiting for him, arms disapprovingly folded in a manner that reminded him a bit too much of his mother. Where have you been all night, mister? Izuku reflexively shrank at his friend's accusatory tone. Training? He lied, not wanting to disclose how he actually spent his night. He didn't care if it got him into even more trouble. He'd sooner give up one for all to his worst enemy than get teased by his classmates. Is that so? You've really been training all night? Izuku could tell he didn't buy it, especially when he leaned down to meet him face to face. You can only reserve the training gyms for a maximum of 3 hours. I trained in the woods, alone, where no one could see me. He continued to dig his grave even deeper. Well, it doesn't matter where you were last night. You still broke curfew again. I have no doubts Mr. Aizawa will punish you greatly for this transgression. At the mention of his teacher's name, Izuku peered around Ida's rectangular frame, failing to spot both Aizawa and his trademark yellow sleeping bag. And where is Aizawa? Shouldn't he be here for homeroom? Ida's stance noticeably faltered, like someone had just kicked him in the shins. Well, about that. Aizawa collapsed from exhaustion during his nightly patrol and had to be taken to the hospital. Momo generously supplied. The doctors cited his, and I quote, non-existent sleep schedule as the main contributing factor. Oh no. Izuku gave a sympathetic wince. And he left you two in charge while he's gone? Nope. Kaminari cheerfully answered for them. He didn't leave anyone in charge, which means no rules. That's not how it works. Ida barked in his direction before turning back to Izuku with a sigh. But yes, with no one in charge, there's no one to administer your punishment. So unfortunately, you're off the hook for now. A wave of relief passed through Izuku at that, and he made his way to his desk, feeling lighter than he ever had before. And though he didn't realize it at the time, it wasn't just due to narrowly avoiding his punishment. And done! As soon as May tightened the last bolt, she stepped back to admire her creation. Zappy's new and improved battery backpack is officially complete. Wow, Hatsume. I'm impressed. Majima strolled over in a shockingly good mood for once. I know, right? Now he can store electricity in case his brain goes. She mimicked the boy's short-circuited face as best she could. Not just that, you got the whole thing done without a single explosion. May blinked, having not realized that until now. You're right. I did. It was strange. She thought that since she failed to pull an all-nighter yesterday, she'd be way behind on her assignments, but oddly enough, the lack of explosions so far had brought her ahead of schedule. Her productivity had increased significantly. Hold on, I have to test something. To make sure this wasn't a fluke, she ran over to her next project, a simple microwave from the management course dorms that needed fixing. The moment she unscrewed the back and took a look at all the bits and bobs that lay within, her mind began working at supersonic speeds she wasn't used to experiencing. As if on instinct, her eyes zoomed in on the one part that looked out of place, allowing her to replace it and get the whole thing running smoothly again in a matter of minutes. She couldn't help but gawk at the results she was getting. Normally, such a breakthrough would take at least an explosion or two, followed by her rebuilding the entire microwave from scratch. But now, everything was just so much clearer to her, like a fog in her mind had been lifted. There it is. You did it again. Majima nodded approvingly. What the heck happened while I was gone yesterday? Yes, that was the million-yen question. Changes like these don't just happen out of nowhere. Usually they're spurred on by some major change in habit or lifestyle. And when she tried to think of any recent instances that could apply, only one thought popped into her mind. I gotta go, she blurted it out before dashing down the halls, ignoring Majima's attempts to call her back. Wow, Deku, you are insane today, Ochako complimented a blushing Izuku while they strolled down the halls after what they believed to be a successful heroics exercise. Oh, come on, it wasn't that impressive. Izuku tried to brush off his accomplishments as he tended to do. I am inclined to agree with Uraraka. Ida took his friend's side. filling Izuku with a mock sense of betrayal. I'd downright say you carried our team during the dodgeball exercise. Come on, that's selling yourself short. It was a team effort. I mean, what did I even do? You took out like half the other team with a single dodgeball. That's what. Ochako pointed out. It was a lucky shot, honest. One doesn't get that lucky without at least a little skill to back them up. Ida shot Izuku a knowing grin. At first, I doubted you actually spent all of last night training in the woods, but clearly I was mistaken. No, Ida was definitely mistaken. Izuku knew that much. All he did last night was get into an embarrassing situation with May, and he doubted that it helped increase his motor functions to such a degree. Speaking of which, 10 million! 10 million! May ran up to the group, frantically waving her arms around. Oh, hi, Hatsume. Izuku could guess what she wanted to talk to him about, but he didn't want to clue his friends in on anything. How are you doing? Is there something you... 10 million! She suddenly grabbed him by the hands, and his mouth forced itself shut at her gravely serious expression. Whatever she was about to say next, he could tell it was bound to be extremely important. Let's sleep together. The hallway went deathly quiet at May's request, the tension hanging over the room like a guillotine. May didn't seem to take note of that, however, nor did she notice Ochako and Ida about to have an aneurysm. What she did notice was Izuku, especially the look of complete mortification on his face, like his soul had just been sucked out of his body. What? End of chapter.